So the Giants have a pretty obvious need at inside linebacker. Of course, they have Ryan Conley coming back from the ACL injury. Hopefully he's healthy and plays the way he did, the first few games of last year. But next to him, we have Deion Buchanan, who will probably be gone in free agency. He signed a one-year deal, so he'll probably be gone. And of course, Alec Ogletree, who we traded for a couple years ago, definitely did not play up to his contract, and it would make all the sense in the world to cut him and get rid of his, I don't even know what the hit is. It's like $11 million or something like that. So it makes all the sense in the world to cut him. I don't know why he hasn't been cut yet, but he probably will in the coming days, so I can't wait for that to happen, obviously. But there are some good inside linebacker options in free agency. Even the draft, there's a guy as well. So we'll get into those guys and, talk about which ones would be the best fit for the Giants, and maybe you guys give me some ideas in the comments as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and let's get into it. So option number 1 is Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, a guy that a lot of Giants fans want, and number 4 overall. He should be there. And, he can play in multiple positions, very versatile. He's played both cornerback positions, slot and outside. He's played both linebacker positions, outside linebacker, inside linebacker, safety as well. Really can play just about anywhere. So very versatile guy. Had 104 combined tackles last year and 7 sacks in 2019. I personally see him as an inside linebacker. I could be wrong. It really depends which team drafts him and what the coaching staff wants to do. But for my personal preference, I want to see him at inside linebacker. He, as compared to what a free agent would cost, there's guys like Cory Littleton and Blake Martinez. Those guys would probably cost around $15 to $18 million per year. So Isaiah Simmons would definitely be the cheaper option because he would be on the rookie contract, and I don't know how much number 4 overall pick makes. It's probably like $4, $5, $6 million per year, but definitely a lot cheaper, probably around $10 million cheaper than what those free agency options would cost. But personally, right now, I want a left tackle in this draft, preferably Andrew Thomas, of course. So my opinion could change in the next couple of months on who I want, but right now I want the left tackle. So drafting Isaiah Simmons wouldn't be likely in my mind, but of course Dave Gettleman can see this guy and be like, whoa, maybe it's full bloom love all over again, and he drafts Isaiah Simmons. It would not shock me. Has a great IQ and, gives a lot of effort. Would be the best Giants linebacker in my lifetime. I remember Antonio Pierce, but really nobody else. We had maybe half a good season of John Beeson at one point, but really outside of that, nothing really going on at inside linebacker for the Giants in my lifetime. Definitely has the speed to cover sideline to sideline, so you love that. Would probably be a tackling machine. 140 plus tackles per year, hopefully, is what you would want from a guy like Isaiah Simmons, and definitely has great quickness and athleticism to play linebacker. His 40 time is going to be very interesting. He could run in the 4.3s possibly. I think he'll be 4.4. In a previous video, I said 4.5 just to be safe about it. But honestly, if he was in the high 4.3s, I would not be shocked by it. But probably will be in the 4.4s if I had to guess. So that'll be pretty interesting when that happens. So Simmons is a guy a lot of you want, and I definitely can't get on you for that. But it really depends what they do in free agency, because free agency comes first. And if they sign a guy like Jack Conklin or go maybe Anthony Costanzo at left tackle, although I think he returns to the Colts. But if they sign a Jack Conklin, then they're probably going to go defense, because then there won't be much of a needed tackle. I still don't trust Nate Solder at left tackle, so my personal preference is to draft Andrew Thomas at left tackle and put Solder at right tackle, but we'll see how they address it. So Isaiah Simmons, option number 1. I'm sure a lot of you want him, so I definitely had to include him in here, and I do see him playing inside linebacker in the NFL. So the first free agency option here is Cory Littleton from the Rams, 26 years old. The Rams might not be able to sign him. They might not have the cap space, honestly. They have a lot of guys they have to pay. Jalen Ramsey, Todd Gurley, Jared Goff come to mind, and of course Aaron Donald. So they have a lot of guys they're paying there. They have a wide receiver core that's probably making a lot of money as well. So, it would be big money for him, I think. I think Littleton will probably seek around $16 to $18 million per year. But honestly, he might be worth it. He's 26 years old, a tackling machine at 134 tackles last year, a 78.9 PFF grade in 2019. Really good in pass coverage. People rave about that when talking about him. Hasn't missed a game in his career so far. I think it's been a 4-year career, has not missed a game. And signing him would make it easier to draft a left tackle, as I mentioned before. So if you signed Cory Littleton, it would be a big contract. That's the downside. But the upside is you can definitely put your focus at number 4 overall on drafting that left tackle, whether it's Andrew Thomas, Jedrick Wills, so whoever it is. It really doesn't matter. So I'm sure the Giants would go best player available, I hope, but if their best player available on their board is a tackle, then I could definitely see them doing that. So all around, he's a really good player, and Cory Littleton right now is a guy that I really want. This is my option. I mean, I do want them to draft Thomas and sign Littleton, maybe sign Ngakoue as well. That might be a lot of money, but we'll see what the financials are exactly. I really don't know, but I could see Littleton costing a lot, but honestly, I think he's worth it. Doesn't miss games. He shows up, makes a lot of tackles. He's definitely better in pass coverage than run coverage, but it's not like he can't play the run either. I think he does both pretty well. Definitely plays the pass a little better. So, the Giants won't have to worry about tight ends killing them game after game. If Littleton was on this roster, he's consistent. He'll be there every week, and honestly, I would love that signing. It will cost a lot. Believe me, it will cost a lot, but I think a guy like him would probably be worth it. Another free agency option is Joe Schobert of the Browns, and a lot of Giants fans have mentioned him the previous months, talking about a great fit for the Giants, and it's possible. So he's 26 years old. I think all these guys are 26 years old, actually. PFF gave him a 59.1 in 2019, which isn't that great. He does have concerns playing the run. We'll get to that later. Only missed 3 games in 4 seasons. That was all in 2018, so he played in 13 games that year. So honestly, not much of an injury history for him. He co-led the league in tackles in 2017. That's great to see. Always had a high tackle number. Another linebacker that's great in coverage. So yeah, he's really good in coverage, but of course the one thing I mentioned is not so great in the run game. And he's not the best athlete, but has really good instincts. I honestly want to compare him to like Ryan Connelly, but probably a little bit more athletic and probably better in pass coverage. So maybe you have Ryan Connelly and Ryan Connelly 2.0, who's a little better in pass coverage. That'd be a pretty nice tandem there. So, the one thing is I do like him, and I don't think he would cost as much as Littleton, as I mentioned. I really think he'd be in like the $10 to $15 million per year range because he does have his limitations. He's not a great all-around linebacker like Littleton is, but still a massive upgrade for what Alec Ogletree has given us. So if the Giants sign Schobert for 3 years, and I'm trying to think, 3 years and $30 million, I'd be thrilled with that. That'd be a great contract, obviously. $10 million a year for a guy like that who really doesn't miss games, makes a lot of tackles, and can cover tight ends. That's really what we need here. So, it would not be the best run stuffer, but the good news is you have guys like Dexter Lawrence, Dalvin Tomlinson, maybe Leonard Williams that can just stop running backs, and hopefully, Jabril Peppers as well if he's healthy. So you have all those guys. You don't need to have the best run-stopping linebacker. It would be better to have a better all-around linebacker, obviously, but at the same time, if, covering tight ends is going to be a great thing for Joe Schobert to do, then I'm fine with that. So it really depends what the price would be for him. I'm definitely interested. It depends how much they pay him. If it's $10 million per year, 10, 11, 12, I can definitely live with that. Anything less would be just, fantastic, obviously. So I'd be fine with him. The running stuff does scare me a bit, but covering tight ends would definitely be a plus if they sign Joe Schobert. And lastly, we have Blake Martinez of the Green Bay Packers, another guy who's 26 years old, kind of similar to Schobert because he's really good in the pass coverage but has his limitations in run coverage once again, or run stopping, I should say. So PFF graded him a 58.7, which was like 1 point lower than Schobert for 2019. He had 144 combined tackles in 2017, which I think was, once again, one of the league leaders. Doesn't have great athleticism, but, doesn't have the great sideline-to-sideline speed, but another guy with great instincts. I think he went to Stanford as well, so another probably pretty smart guy. The Giants like to have smart guys in the building now with this new coaching staff, obviously. Has not missed a game, since 2016, only missed 3 games as well. So, he would be another massive upgrade over Alec Ogletree, and I think the one downside to him is his contract would probably cost a little bit more than Schobert. I think Martinez is a little bit of a better player, so probably that $15 to $17 million per year range. But I feel like every time I watch the Packers, Blake Martinez is unbelievable. I don't know if it's just like a prime time thing for him, but it seems like every time I watched him, he's all over the field making a lot of tackles. And, once again, it would be a massive upgrade for what we have here right now. Definitely a guy who can make a lot of tackles every game and doesn't miss games, which, we're hoping is the case if we sign any of these guys. I mean, Littleton doesn't miss games, Schobert, Blake Martinez, and I don't think Isaiah Simmons has a history of missing games either. So hopefully all these guys would stay healthy. It depends which one, though. So, to round it out, I think for me, My option is Cory Littleton because I do want to draft a left tackle. That's my preference. You guys could say the opposite. You could say, well, I want to draft Isaiah Simmons and then sign Jack Conklin, but then you have Nate Solder at left tackle with really no one behind him, so I think that's a bit risky. So I think the best option now is just to draft a left tackle, sign the good inside linebacker in free agency, and it is possible that Martinez goes back to the Packers. I think that's probably the most likely option, but you never know. He does have his limitations. He's not a perfect player. So I think Schobert's gone with the Browns. I don't think that's happening. I think Martinez probably stays. And as for Littleton, they might not be able to afford him. So really, I don't know. We'll see what happens. They might release Brandon Cooks, I've heard. That's possible. That could be one way to save money. I'm sure they regret the hell out of the Goff and Gurley contracts. That's why you don't pay a running back, people. But yeah, I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen. It really will be interesting, who gets franchised and who's going to actually be a free agent. So most of this is speculation right now, but it's just a preview of what the offseason will be for the Giants at the inside linebacker position. And that's pretty much all I got. So let me list off some names real quick. So looking at this list of free agents, there's not too many other names to stick out to me. I think Danny Trevathan's a guy that if he stays healthy, could be a good option. He's 30 years old and looked like he was breaking down last year, so you never know. That's kind of risky, but it depends on the price, obviously. Not really much else. Hassan Reddick's a guy that the Giants talked about, trading for, I think, at one point because of James Betcher, but now he's gone, so that doesn't matter. Nigel Bradham from the Eagles. So, yeah, I mean, there's some options, not anything great. Vontaze Burfict, that's a guy. Not happening with this culture we have here. So, yeah, there's not really many options outside of these top three guys, honestly. But Trevathan's interesting because he has been a really good linebacker for a better part of the last decade. So that would be a decent option if he was healthy, but you never know. So, yeah, it's pretty much all I got. There's some options in the draft as well. I forget one of the guys' names. Is it Kenneth Murray, maybe? I forget what school he went to, Oklahoma, maybe. But there's some guys out there in the draft that you can get as well. It's not just Isaiah Simmons, but, you never know. So those are just some extra names I wanted to throw in there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.